Got your routine going yet this morning? Coffee by your side, easing into Sunday morning? Thanks for bringing us along. This is Dale Johnson with Janine Bryant of Changing Spaces SRS for easy right-sizing. Every Sunday at this time, Janine offers you practical tips for your right-sizing journey, giving you a positive attitude for that challenging task. Good morning, Janine.
Good morning, Dale.
In your world of taking people from too much to just right, it's a skill that you and your staff have mastered, but it just doesn't happen. It takes discipline. It took finesse to manage the emotional reactions of your clients with the rational decisions that you make and that you help them make.
Yes.
That's a tough tug of war today, and we talk about it on Easy Right Sizing. So start this conversation with a recent phone call that you took at Changing Spaces SRS.
Dale, I was just telling you about this. This is a phone call that we got just this last week. And sometimes when someone calls me, I speak with, probably 10 to 12 new or potential clients each week. And it's one of my favorite parts of the job because this is a topic that is so relatable. Everyone can really relate. Everyone's been through this. Everyone has family members who go through transitions. Either they're moving or they're passing away. And, everyone's got stuff, and we've got to deal with that stuff when someone moves or someone passes away. And this last week, I had this phone call from a man, and he was telling me how his wife's mother had passed away 3 years ago. And when they had to empty out her home, they boxed up most of what was there, and they brought it to their house. Okay, very common situation. They brought some of it to their house, but then their house got full. And so then they also brought some of it to a storage unit, an off-site storage unit. Well, the reason this man was calling us now at Changing Spaces SRS is because now him and his wife want to downsize and move. Okay, they're moving out of their home that they've been in for 20, 30 years, and they're downsizing to a townhome. But they've got all this stuff. They've got not only their stuff that has accumulated over the years in their home, but then, we have my mother-in-law's stuff that's been sitting in boxes for the last 3 years. Not only here, but at this off-site storage unit. So, and what he said to me was just that. He said, what a dumb idea that was. He said, that was an emotional reaction instead of a rational decision. And as soon as he said that, I thought, a light bulb went off, and I said, I'm writing that down, sir. Thank you for that, because I said that is so common, and we hear that all the time. And that's really what's happening when our clients are bringing all of this stuff. They can't decide in the moment. And so it's an emotional reaction. They're sad. They're filled with grief. It's anxiety. It's fear, perhaps. They just need to get that house emptied quickly. And so they make that emotional reaction instead of a rational decision. And then what happens is that they end up paying for it later. So, like I said, this is a very common situation that we hear all the time. And I tell this story, certainly not to shame this caller, because it's a very common call that we get. But what I would love for all of our listeners today to hear is that this is really a cautionary tale. And that's really why I am always encouraging people to go through that right-sizing process proactively and to deal with your stuff now, because in the midst of a tragedy or an emergency situation or a death of a loved one, it is so easy to make that emotional reaction rather than a rational decision. And
it's so much easier when there's no pressure to do it.
Yes, and no time frame. Yes. And, that's another thing. Speaking of time frames, I think that lots of times we get our clients are so they're all hyped up and they want to put the house on the market, or if it's a rental situation, we got to be out by the end of the month. And I understand that. However, my message to a lot of folks that give us a call is that if you slow down, take a breath, and maybe put off the sale of your home for a little bit, maybe 1 month, okay? Or if you pay 1 extra month of rent on that rental property, to give yourself and your family members the space and time to take a deep breath and to make a rational decision instead of an emotional reaction, it is going to pay you back in the future, because it's going to take time, energy, and money to deal with this stuff eventually. So boy, if you can do it now, it's going to be a lot easier than if you have to deal with it down the road. So my message to people who are emptying out a home is always the same. It's to take a deep breath and to remove the things that you want to keep, not too much, but give yourself a limit, remove the things you want to keep, and then find an avenue to sell or donate whatever remains. There's no sense in boxing up that stuff, putting it in a storage unit. I mean, sometimes we say to each other in the office, what do these people think they're going to do when they put stuff in storage unit, right? They're never going to go back and get it, right? So to go through and to deal with that before you put it into a storage unit, because here's what happens. When the stuff is in a storage unit and then you try, 2 or 3 years down the road, you think, I think it's time to empty that storage unit out, and you start making some phone calls to auction houses, to estate sale companies, to antique dealers, consignment shops, whatever. It's really hard to sell something out of a storage unit, right? It's hot or it's very cold, depending on the time of the year. It's not in a great location. You can't stage it. You can't, necessarily have a successful garage sale out of a storage unit. So not only did you pay someone to move that stuff to a storage unit, now in order to get rid of it, you got to pay someone to get it out of that storage unit, right?
To move it back to a residence or a more friendly environment.
That's right. And then you still have to get rid of it, right? You still have to deal with it. So then you have to figure out, okay, am I going to sell it? Am I going to donate it? Whatever. So you end up moving it not once, but twice. And again, I see this every month, probably a few times every month. I get this phone call, probably every other week. So it's a very common reaction, and that is why the storage unit industry is booming. I mean, I was driving around town and I saw, boy, there's another new storage unit place that has come up. They're all over town.
And they're never small in scale.
No, they're huge. Yeah. And they're all full, And so that is my message to all of our listeners out there. I hope there's no one who owns a storage unit business out there. But boy, it really is. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. And it's a waste of energy. That is really the definition of clutter, is delayed decisions.
You got me on that one.
Yeah.
I like that definition. That's one that I will use.
You even a piece of paper, you pick up a piece of paper and you think, oh, what am I going to do with this? Oh, I don't know. I'm just going to put it over here in this pile. Well, and then you do that enough times and suddenly your desk is full of papers, and what those papers represent are delayed decisions. Same thing with those boxes of your mother-in-law's things. You can't decide what to do with them now. Oh, I'll just put them in the basement. I'll deal with them later. They don't go away. So you're still you or someone you leave behind is going to have to deal with them eventually. So just take a deep breath and make those decisions in the moment if you possibly can, because your future self will thank you later. I guarantee it.
Pivot back to that phone call. How did you start the client down the rational decision making path?
Here's the thing. Once they call Changing Spaces SRS, we can take it over for them, right? So all the listeners can consider this show preventative medicine, okay? If you listen to me long enough, you might not even need my services in the future, right? These folks did not listen to me, so they do need our services. But again, our services are not free. So you have to pay a company, to come in and deal with all of this stuff. We're going to get them moved, and then we're probably going to have to truck the stuff from the storage unit back to their old house. Then we're going to have to set up a sale and sell it out of their home. And they're going to pay a price tag for that. Now, I always say to my clients, they give me a check, and then after I sell all their stuff, I give them an even bigger check. So they'll still end up with a positive end game. But, emptying out a house is not free. And so it either costs you time if you're going to do it yourself, or energy, or it costs you money if you're going to hire someone else to do it. So, and I'm happy to do it, but I do see the stress that it puts on our clients. And, if I think about the time, when he called me, when you finally pick up the phone and make that phone call to Changing Spaces, you've probably been thinking about this for weeks or months or maybe even years. And then you finally get up the courage and you're like, okay, I'm going to start calling someone to figure out what we do about this. So that has been weighing on their mind probably for the last 3 years since his mother-in-law passed away. And so I just see that as such a waste of energy. So if you can deal with those items right away, then it doesn't take a toll on you over time.
We've used the term emotion and feelings. That's not a good feeling. I've been in that before, right. moving from house to house. Whether it's right-sizing or same-size.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. It creates, when you get up in the morning, you think, I have to do this, and this.
Right.
And then because tomorrow, this, and this is going to happen.
Yes.
So you just feel on a treadmill.
Yes, and your home is really supposed to be a sanctuary. It's supposed to be a place where you come to relax and feel good. And I meet with so many people every single week who do not feel good in their homes. And that's really, it makes me sad because I really love coming home to my home, and it really is a peaceful oasis, and that's what I want for everyone. So, and Changing Spaces can help you get there. And so can my book. If you guys read my book, Ready to Right Size, you don't have to hire Changing Spaces necessarily. You can go through your own right-sizing process, and that's why I wrote the book, is to help people kind of get started on their own.
Rational decisions, emotional reaction. There's a good chapter for your next.
Yes, I love it. I'm going to make a note. Yes.
Or clutter, delayed decisions.
Yes.
You can use that one too. How can somebody get your book?
It's available on Amazon.com. You just search for Ready to Right Size, and it's available there. It's $12.95.
And also, you have made these conversations available. We've been at this a while, folks. If this is your first introduction to Janine at Changing Spaces SRS and our conversation, Easy Right Sizing, you've missed a lot because we've covered a lot of things over the weeks and months. And where can people go to catch up?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to my website, easyrightsizing.com. There's a page on there that says radio and podcasts. If you click on that, all of our episodes are listed on that webpage, and you can listen to them. It's all free. Also on easyrightsizing.com, there's a whole bunch of tips and resources and advice. There's videos, blog posts, printable worksheets that you can have. And it's all for free, easyrightsizing.com.
And if you think Janine doesn't have any spare time, she teaches, for heaven's sakes, too. How is that going for you?
Yes. Well, it is a new class that we're going to be teaching through SCC Continuing Education. And the plan is still for it to be an in-person class. SCC has emailed us all of the safety protocols that they're putting into place, and it's really great. We're all going to be masked up. We're all going to be socially distanced, so you don't have to worry about safety. And it's going to be Monday nights, starting from 6 to 8 p.m., starting September 21st, September 28th, and October 5th. So it runs 3 Monday nights for 2 hours apiece. And if you call SCC at 402-437-2700, you can get registered for the class. You can also call us at Changing Spaces SRS, and we'll help you out.
And if you think you have the skill set to be able to pull this off, you really don't. I mean, generally, you have honed the skill. You and your staff have honed the skill.
I always say it's not rocket science. However, we do it several times every single week. Yeah. And most of our clients who are dealing with this haven't moved in 30 years. So it's just different, So we can help you through it. Absolutely.
Estate sales and auctions like clockwork. And we talk about it every Sunday morning here on Easy Right Sizing.